He walked down the street and nobody noticed. Worn out sneakers, sweaty face, shoulders back. Just a regular guy. With a story no one ever heard. Caleb Stone won, but there were no headlines, no applause, no viral video. He won in silence, in early morning workouts before the sun came up, running in the rain, lifting weights on the gym floor, in the cold, in pain. For the mom who whispered prayers at night, for the brother who never got his shot, for himself, the kid who almost didn't graduate, built his own path, the guy sleeping on the living room couch, woke up every morning at 5 a.m. to train, because that's where he found himself. In the grind, he rebuilt himself, but no one saw it. Nobody knew about the nights he cried in the bathroom, trying to silence the screams inside his head. Nobody saw the left unread messages, or the "it's gonna be okay" he repeated without believing. He fell more than once, and every time he hit the ground, he picked up his body until his mind caught up. Because he learned early on, do it alone. This is the story of a man who never wanted fame. He just wanted peace. He just wanted to prove he wasn't the failure they said he'd be. And it all started on the darkest night of his life. Caleb was on the floor, literally. Not a metaphor, it was real. Lying on the cold floor of the living room where he'd been crashing for weeks. An old mattress tossed in the corner. Thin blanket, phone with no signal, empty fridge. It was a Friday, but to him every day already felt the same. No job, no future. No one to call. No one calling. Life had gone gray. No color. No sound. He stared at the ceiling and thought, is this it? Is this really it? It felt like the world kept moving and just forgot to take him with it. Late bills, dreams shelved, self-esteem buried. He barely looked in the mirror. And when he did, he saw a tired, faded face, a reflection he didn't even recognize anymore. And the worst part wasn't being broke. It wasn't the lack of opportunity. The worst part was the emptiness. That kind of emptiness that makes your mind go to dark places. That makes you wonder if the world would actually be better off without you. And there on that floor, Caleb hit his limit. He didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't ask for help. He just closed his eyes and thought, maybe if I don't wake up, no one will even notice. But he did wake up. The next day, still on the floor, still cold, still everything falling apart. Something inside him shifted. It wasn't strength. It wasn't faith. It was anger, a quiet, raw anger. At himself, at the world, at how much he had accepted living like that. He sat up, still dizzy, still feeling crushed. Looked around. Nothing had changed, but something inside started to move. And in that mix of despair and silence, the question hit. If no one's coming to save me, what am I waiting for? Caleb didn't stand up like a hero that day. He just got to his feet, stumbling, weak, heart barely beating. But he stood up, no background music, no one watching, just him, and that was all he had left. He threw on the oldest clothes he had, grabbed a pair of busted-up sneakers, and stepped outside. No direction, no goal, just walking. Every step hurt, every thought tried to drag him back to the floor. But he kept walking. And that day, for the first time in a long time, he didn't quit. It wasn't the start of a win, but it was the end of the fall. Because when you hit your limit, there's only two ways to go. Either you fade out, or you stand up. And Caleb chose to stand, even if it meant doing it alone. The next morning, Caleb woke up sore, not gym sore. More like, I've been sleeping on the floor for weeks sore. Bad posture, sleepless nights, couch or no bed at all. But something about that day made him put on those shoes again. Old, ripped, but still usable. Still good enough to run, or at least try. He stepped outside without overthinking. Still no plan, no clue where he was going. He just needed to move. He walked 2 blocks, then 3, and started jogging, clumsy, off rhythm. Heavy legs, short breath, mind racing. But even so, he ran. That day wasn't some big movie moment. He felt like throwing up. His chest hurt. He wanted to quit at every corner, but every step hurt less than staying still. Because standing still, he was dying inside, running, even broken. He felt alive. That day, Caleb didn't run for fitness. He ran for sanity. It wasn't a workout. It was a scream. He needed to feel something. Needed proof he was still here, still real. And in that physical pain, he found a sliver of space. Space between all the dark thoughts. Space between fear and regret. Space between pain and nothingness. It was the only place he could breathe. The next day he ran again. And the next. And the one after that. He didn't know anything about training, nutrition, or performance. All he knew was it was better than falling again. When his mind started to slip, he'd put on his shoes and run. Slowly, without even realizing it, he started to build a ritual. Waking up early, drinking water, heading out without checking his phone. It wasn't motivation. It was survival. In those early days, he didn't see progress. For months, nobody noticed. But his body was responding, and his brain was coming back online. Physical discipline started to build something he hadn't felt in a long time. Self-control. The workouts, the pain, the sweat, taught him more than any self-help book ever could. The training taught him consistency, that no matter how much it hurt, if he just kept putting one foot in front of the other, he got there. And getting there, even with no destination, was already a win. Some days he ran while crying, others screaming, others in total silence. But every single time he ran, and it wasn't about speed. It was about presence. Every run was a vote that he wasn't going to give up. Little by little, his body began to change, not just the physical stuff, his posture, his breathing, the way he carried himself, how he walked into a room. He hadn't won yet, but the world was starting to respond differently because now he was different. The body led the way until the mind caught up. Time passed. Days stacked up. Caleb didn't feel some overnight transformation. He didn't suddenly wake up with energy, didn't turn into an athlete or an influencer. He just kept going, one workout at a time, one day at a time. The alarm went off at 5:30, always in the dark. He got up without thinking, threw on the same t-shirt, laced up those same worn-out sneakers. In the mirror, he still looked small, but he no longer looked weak. He looked present. And that was something new. He didn't post anything. Nobody knew he was running. Nobody asked what he'd been up to. And that was fine because at that point, Caleb had understood something simple. Real transformation happens when no one's watching. He made black coffee and headed out. Rain, cold, exhaustion, didn't matter. Running stopped being an escape. It became discipline. And that's when the magic started. Not magic you can see, but magic you feel. He stopped replying to empty messages, stopped complaining, stopped saying, "I can't," started planning, started cooking at home, started saying no to hollow invites. He started to take control, and that control, that's what he held on to. Running turned into strength training, training turned into routine, routine turned into identity. He wasn't the broken guy on the mattress anymore. He was the guy who kept his word to himself, and no one could take that away from him. But yeah, it was still lonely. There was no recognition, no compliments. The people around him had no clue what was going on. Some thought he was getting weird. Others thought he was pulling away too much. But he wasn't pulling away. He was finding himself. And sometimes, to find yourself, you've got to get a little lost from the world. Hard moments still came. A minor knee injury, burnout, extreme fatigue, no visible results. Those days when it all feels pointless. But Caleb already knew the secret. It's on the days when nothing changes that you grow the most. He wasn't chasing motivation anymore. He wasn't waiting for inspiration. He just kept showing up. Each workout, each rep, each simple meal, it was like laying down another brick in his own personal castle. Quiet, slow, steady. Life started dropping little signs. Sleep got better. Mind got clearer. Ideas started to come. He kicked off a small project, landed a freelance gig, paid off an overdue bill. And for the first time in a long time, he started to dream again. It wasn't about getting rich. It was about getting right, about looking in the mirror and saying, "You're doing okay, keep going." There was no magic, just routine, no audience, just consistency. And the biggest lesson he learned, you don't need to prove anything to anyone, but you do need to prove it to yourself every damn day. These days, Caleb walks different, back straight, eyes steady, steps solid, not because of money, not because of fame, but because he knows who he is. He still lives in the same town, walks the same streets, sees some of the same people, but no one has a clue what he went through, alone. No one knows the war he fought. And on the outside, he's just another guy, but on the inside, he's a giant. The old Caleb, he's gone. The one who settled for scraps, who shrank himself to please others, who dimmed his light so he wouldn't bother anyone, gone. And someone new was born, a man who learned to listen to himself, to respect himself, to get back up even with no one around. He didn't post about it, didn't write some long speech, didn't throw it in anyone's face. He just lives. Simple, strong, quiet. Today, he's got little wins that mean the world: food in the fridge, clean sheets, bills paid. He looks at his mom with pride, and she looks back, eyes full of tears. She knows. She saw the fight, the Caleb, who used to live on the floor, now wakes up early to run because he wants to, trains because he loves it, takes care of himself because he knows his worth. He doesn't have everything, but he has what matters: awareness, clarity, strength, peace. No one posts about this, no one makes this journey go viral, but he doesn't need that because he doesn't run to escape anymore. He runs to remember who he is. Sometimes while he's out running, the past comes back. The pain, the darkness, that empty room, the cold floor, but now he knows the way back to himself. And he runs with one thought in his mind. You made it, Caleb. No one had to see it. No one had to clap, but you made it. And maybe that's the whole point. Not every victory needs an audience. Not every comeback needs a spotlight. Sometimes your greatest win is getting off the floor and moving forward with no one by your side, because winning for yourself, that's the kind of victory no one can ever take away from you.